Well, bakers, can you believe that I've been making YouTube videos for 11 years now? And over those years, I've made over 900 videos. And I'm guessing there's some that you've never seen before, just like these cinnamon roll pancakes. I made these 11 years ago, even before I started Bigger Bolder Baking. This video is unlisted on YouTube, so if you're eagle eye, you can find it. But we never actually showed it to the public. So I'm looking at a 31-year-old Gemma here, which just makes me think, oh my gosh, like you don't know what's ahead of you these next few years. You know, it is quite charming. It was a long time ago. I had been on camera not even a handful of times. So I really was new to this space. That being said, this was a fantastic and innovative recipe all those years ago. Cinnamon roll pancakes, before pancakes became a huge big craze online. This is a really fun video. I never shared it before publicly, so I'm redoing the recipe. I'm adding new tips. I'm making it bigger and bolder, and I'm going to share it with you again today. So cinnamon roll pancakes come with 3 different steps. We have our cinnamon roll filling, we have our cream cheese glaze, and then we have our pancakes. So let's start out with our cinnamon roll filling so that can set up while we're making everything else. In a bowl here, I've got a little bit of dark brown sugar. I use dark brown sugar now because it has a lot more flavor. You know, light brown is not as flavorful. It doesn't give you those dark caramel tones that we're used to from a cinnamon bun. Into this, I'm going to add in some melted butter and some cinnamon. And yes, this is pretty much exactly the filling that you would have in a cinnamon roll. Just want to mix those all together, make sure there's no lumps. We're going to be piping this later, so we want to make sure that it's smooth to go through a nozzle. For our cream cheese glaze, to start out with softened cream cheese, that is so important. What I do is I pop it into the microwave for, you know, less than 20 seconds, because you want to then whisk it just by itself, make sure that it's nice and smooth, and then we're going to add in our other ingredients. If you don't kind of cream this up first, then it's really hard to mix in the rest of the ingredients, and that can end up being lumpy. So make sure that's nice and softened, and then in goes our powdered sugar, our melted butter, and some vanilla extract. Now this cream cheese glaze is so delicious that I actually use it on other things, like to drizzle over muffins or even pound cake, because it's the perfect consistency. It's really easy to make. You don't have to like whip it up with a, a stand mixer, and it just goes on so well. Perfect cream cheese glaze. That's it, as simple as that. I'm going to set that over to the side, and then we can make our pancake batter. So for the pancake batter, this is a simple one. It's different to my best ever pancakes. It is a little bit of all-purpose flour. Here we have baking powder, and I'm going to give those a little bit of a stir. Our wet ingredients, I have milk here. I'm going to add in a room temperature egg to that milk, give that a whisk. And I'm also going to add a small bit of vanilla extract. The original recipe didn't have this. And when you have a cinnamon roll, you always do get, the kind of those notes of vanilla. So now we're going to add our wet into our dry. Now here is something that I've learned over the years of Bigger Bolder Baking, is not over mixing your pancake batter. And a way I came up with, I have to say I'm very proud of myself for doing this, we are going to spell out the word pancake. And it kind of keeps me only stirring it to around like 8 times or so. It can be very tempting to do more, and sometimes I do, I'll admit that. And then the last thing we're going to do is just add in our melted butter. You always add it in at the end like this because it combines so much better. If you add that into the wet ingredients, it will set on the cold milk, and they'll end up with lumps of butter, and we don't want that. We want it all the way throughout our batter. Here we go. We have our pancake batter, we have our filling, we have our cream cheese glaze. We have everything that we need. Let's head over to the griddle and start cooking them off. So for cooking off your pancakes, I set my griddle to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's kind of like medium heat. When you're cooking pancakes, it's really important just to have an even medium heat and not be too hot, otherwise you'll get burnt on the outside and raw in the middle. So for these pancakes, I do 1/3 of a cup of batter on my griddle. You hear that lovely sizzle. So your pancakes need to cook for around 2 minutes on this side. When you see them start to form bubbles and kind of not be as shiny, that's when we go in with our cinnamon swirl. I put it in a bottle because you have more control. And if it firms up at any stage, just pop it into the microwave. And all you want to do is just swirl around, getting that iconic swirl that you see in a cinnamon roll. So I want to show you something. You see these bubbles here on top? These are what I call pancake pillars, and I came up with that term, and I think it's a really good one because it gives you a visual. When I had a catering business, and that's when I actually came up with this recipe many years ago before bigger bolder baking, I noticed that without those bubbles on the surface, if you flipped over your pancake too early, it wouldn't get a thick rise. But when it had those pancake pillars holding up the pancake, once you flipped it over, it would stay thick. So that's a really good tip for people who love pancake making. That's what you need to look for. Once you flip them over, cook your pancakes at around another 1 to 2 minutes on the other side. Let them get lovely golden brown. And then when you flip them over, look at that. Do you see that indentation? What happens is the cinnamon roll filling kind of just like cooks up into the pancake. So you get this indentation just like the way you would in a cinnamon roll. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? I think that is so cool. And there's our last one. I'm delighted with these pancakes, but we're not done yet. We still have to top them with our cream cheese glaze. So let's head over to the table. So stack your warm pancakes on top of each other. You can go crazy and do 3 or 4. Then we're going to finish them with our cream cheese glaze and just drizzle that over the top. Just like a traditional cinnamon roll, I go the extra mile and sprinkle over some toasted pecans on top. So you really get the vibe of a cinnamon roll in this pancake. The beautiful swirl in the middle of the pancake, the glaze. Once you taste one bite of these, it all adds up. It looks amazing and it tastes great too. These pancakes are a real treat. This recipe should be a regular in your pancake rotation. They are so delicious and even better than I remember them 11 years ago. I absolutely love these. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this remake of a very old video. Stick around, I've got lots more videos for you to check out, and I'll see you back here again, same time, same place next week.